My name is Allan Pallay, and this is the Sunday morning service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Pottstown on February 28th, 2021. I am a member of the congregation. I welcome those who have tuned in this morning and those who may be seeing a recording of this service. Due to COVID, our services have recently been virtual, but we look forward to getting back to in-person services as soon as it is safe to do so. We are a congregation that welcomes all, whether you're seeing us with spirits high or spirits low, we welcome you. Whether your beliefs tend toward atheism or theism, liberalism or conservatism, we welcome you. We welcome all who are searching, seeking, looking for more knowledge, more service, more friendship. Our religion, Unitarian Universalism, is built on 7 ethical principles. You can find them in our website under the tab, Be Our Guest. With those principles in mind, we consider a wide array of topics in our various Sunday morning services. And we have a wide array of speakers, including our ministers, guest ministers, members of our congregation, and lay speakers from outside our fellowship. We're ready now for announcements. Any announcements? Kay?
I have an announcement. The walking club is going to meet at Coventry Woods at 10 o'clock this Saturday.
That's nice.
Weather permitting.
Right, so we think the trails will be clear. Or clear.
Yes, barring more snow. I think if it snows again, Riverfront Park is usually a fallback.
Right.
So Coventry Woods.
Okay, my wife has an announcement. She's going to stick her head.
Hello, everybody. In Allan getting set up with his lay leader stuff, I totally forgot to put the click to donate in our chat box, but you'll be excited to know it's still on our website. So during collection, yes, you can go there, and there's a new category. It's called Disaster Relief for Texas. For the next 3 weeks, starting this Sunday, we're donating all of our Sunday plate collection to the UUA Disaster Relief for Texas. So we'll wait till the 3 weeks are over and then send a check on so that we can help out down there. So anything you can contribute would be appreciated. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Okay. I am very pleased to say this morning that we have as a guest minister, Reverend Cindy Terlazzo, who will lead the service and present a sermon titled Revelations. Reverend Cindy graduated from Lancaster Theological Seminary with a master's degree in divinity in 2019 and was ordained in 2020. She served as a consulting minister at Unitarian Universalist of the Cumberland Valley. As you can see, she is a new minister, but she brings to ministry the knowledge and perspective that comes from a rich and full life prior to ministry that included holding a wide variety of work and volunteer positions and raising 2 children. One of her professors in seminary recognized this knowledge and perspective when she wrote, quote, "Cindy is highly intelligent, open to new learning, attuned to interpersonal situations, listens well, and builds bridges between those with differing views," unquote. Listens well and builds bridges. In this day and age, we particularly need people like Cindy with those skills. Reverend Cindy.
I invite you into worship this morning with these words. The gift of life is that we exist. The blessing of life is that we exist together. The wonder of life is our ability to know this. Let us enter into this space of worship today with the full awareness of all that our lives contain. May we be open to the gift of unfolding revelation. And now I invite Carly to bring us into a prelude.
Thank you, Carly. Mary, would you like the chalice, please? To accompany lighting the chalice, I'm going to read a passage by Kathleen McTeague. Into this home, we bring our hunger for awakening. We bring passionate hearts and a will towards justice. Into this home, we bring the courage to walk on after hard losses. Into this home, we bring our joy and gratitude for ordinary blessings. By our gathering, we bless this time and space. In its shelter, we know ourselves blessed.
So, if we were gathering together in person, we would be singing together. But because we're in this unique situation that we're getting somewhat used to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the lyrics from the opening hymn, which is number 90, From All the Fret and Fever of the Day. And then Carly will play the song through once. So here is From All the Fret and Fever of the Day. For all the fret and fever of the day, let there be moments when we turn away, and deaf to all confusion, outer din, intently listen for the voice within. In quietness and solitude, we find the soundless wisdom of the deeper mind. With clear, harmonious purpose, let us then bring richer meaning to the world again.
Thank you, Carly. Now we're ready for joys and concerns. We are a caring community with an interest in the joys and concerns of our members and friends. Does anyone have a joy or concern they would like to share?
I'll go.
Okay.
So many of you know that a year and a half ago, I had my right hip done with the knowledge that my left was at some point going to have to be done. And I go on Friday to have my left hip replaced. So I will officially be bionic after that. So I won't make Saturdays walking, but maybe the next month.
Oh, the next one. As, with your physical fitness, that may be possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other joys and concerns?
Yeah, we have one. My great aunt died this week. And she was 96. It wasn't COVID, just was time for her. And the saddest part was her kids couldn't be with her because of COVID, because of she was in a nursing home. So, but she's gone.
Any other joys and concerns? Thank you for sharing. Let us hold in our hearts those who have spoken and those who have been mentioned, and be mindful that there are undoubtedly concerns among us that are unspoken. Cindy is muted.
I invite you into a time of contemplation as we sit with all of the many experiences we have in this life of ours. And I'm going to share with you some words of a colleague of mine, Kate Walker. In between, liminal, that space where we wait, in between moments, events, results, action, no action. To stand on the threshold waiting for something to end and something new to arrive, a pause in the rumble of time. Awareness claims us, alert, a shadow of something different. In between, invitation and acceptance. In between symptom and diagnosis. In between send and the receipt of inquiry and question. In between love given and love received. Liminality, a letting go, entering into confusion, ambiguity, and disorientation. A ritual begun. Pause. Look back at what once was. Look forward into what becomes. Identity sheds a layer, reaches into something uncomfortable. In between lighting of the match and the kindling of oil, in between choosing of text and the reading of words, in between voices and notes carried through the air into ears to hear. In between, creation thrusts ever forward. Social hierarchies may disassemble and structures may fall. Communities may revolt or tempt trust. Tradition may falter or creativity crashes forward. Leaders may step down or take charge. The people may choose or refuse. In between, storm predicted, the horizon beacons. In between, theology of process reminds us to step back. In between, where minutia and galaxies intermingle with microbes and mysteries. In between, liminal, the space where we wait. Look, listen, feel, breathe, the mystery of such revelation. And let us now take those words in and breathe into Spirit of Life that Carly will play for us.
Carly.
Carly, you're muted.
Oh, Carly's muted. The muting problem. Thank you, Carly.
Make sure I'm not muted. So we're talking about revelation today, and when revelations come, they can arrive in many forms. And when they come, we have the choice to respond or not to this urging to pay attention to our life. Many times we might chide ourselves and wish that we had made different choices when we become aware of the truth of a particular revelation. There's a responsive reading my husband and I are going to bring to you. It's called A Litany of Atonement by Rob Eller Isaacs. And it reminds us that we may always begin again in love. So my husband and I will read this responsively, and keep yourself muted, but you're invited to join along on the responsive part. It's very simple. We forgive ourselves and each other, and we begin again in love. So we'll start now. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For the selfishness which sets us apart and alone.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For losing sight of our unity.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For those, and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
And now I'm offering my husband the space to offer one of his songs, All Will Be Revealed.
We were down in that cave underground. We were down where Odysseus went to drown. We were there when Hanuman burned down that whole illusory town, crying out, all will be revealed. place on that strange ark. And the clowns around us, they just hiss and bark. But one holy fool tore his chest and opened up his heart, crying out, all will be revealed. All will be revealed. Blows come without warning from behind. Your soul is dragged through the mud. Only this morning you lost your mind. Was that some kind of sign? Oh, that nameless soldier's broken cord, and tied him up right on his pathetic horse. The corpse began to weep, and the horse began to speak. He said, all will be revealed. All will be revealed. All will be revealed. All will be revealed. Maria Magdalena, of whom the enlightened Coptics boast, walked barefoot and mute on thorns from coast to coast, singing my songs and bearing my post for all of those acolytes, devas, and ghosts, singing out, all will be revealed. All will be revealed. All will be revealed. All will be revealed.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Turn to you now for the offering.
Thank you, John. It's nice to have live music. The sound was a little bit low, so maybe we could help adjust that the next time. I think you're going to sing again.
I'll get closer to that.
Can everybody hear me now? Is it? Yes, okay, okay. I thought maybe it was a general problem. Now we move on to the offertory. We got a good thing going here at UUFFP. To keep it going, we need your financial support. You could contribute by going to our website. The chat box is not set up, unfortunately, this morning. Carly will now play a musical piece that I have chosen to put us all in the mood to open our wallets. Carly. Thank you, Carly.
It's really lovely to be here with your community today. And as noted, we're talking about Revelation.
Cindy,
Yeah.
Your voice is coming across to me very low.
I'm wondering if the sound changed because of the difference between the music, and I'll try putting it up here and see what that happens.
It is still very low.
Is that any better?
Is that better?
This
No.
is painful.
That's as loud as I can make it on my my device.
That's better. And it's getting louder as you speak.
Okay.
So just speak real loud.
I think there's a difference between what happens with the music and with the speaking. So let's regroup here.
Okay.
We're talking about Revelation today. And I'm guessing that you've all seen some version of the cartoon in which someone suddenly has a new idea occur to them, and above their head is a brightly lit bulb. Now, I've had those moments, and I love it when they happen to me. Those moments when I find myself suddenly wide awake and paying attention in a way I hadn't been just moments before. Mary Oliver's written a poem called The Summer Day, and that poem invites me to enter into such a moment, and I want to share it with you now. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who's eating sugar out of my hand. The one who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down. The one who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to idle and bless, how to stroll through the fields, how to listen to the finding of the clock. Strolling through fields, that is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? So Mary's poem to me invites that place of ripeness for which revelation can really arise. I took part in a retreat a few years ago, and the retreat was held in a stunningly beautiful location. Everything about the weekend, the location, music, teachings, conversations, everything was conducive to a renewal of the spirit. So one afternoon I was lying in the grass and I was looking all around me. It was just a really, really wonderful moment. And I found myself being particularly enchanted by a string of prayer flags that had been suspended between some trees, and the flag was fluttering in the breeze. Now, it could have been because the events of the weekend had primed me, but for a moment, I felt that time stood still. And I knew that I had been witness to something extraordinary. For a few brief moments, this simple occurrence pierced through all of my layers of ordinary assumptions of how the world is constructed. This seemingly ordinary event resonated with something deep inside me. I felt whole, I felt content, and I felt connected to everything that was around me. You know, it was as if the interconnected web of life that we talk about a lot in UU circles, it was as if that was revealed to me in those few brief moments. I knew that I was as much a part of this web as every single thing that surrounded me. Now, the dictionary tells us that a revelation is something that's disclosed, something that's a striking disclosure, something that has not been before realized. And I found that this simple occurrence, the fluttering of a breeze through a string of prayer flags, for me was indeed a striking disclosure. It was a reminder of things that I can forget when I assume that my life, that any life, is simply ordinary. Unitarian Universalist minister James Luther Adams said, "We cannot properly place our confidence in our own creations. We must depend upon a transforming reality that breaks through encrusted forms of life and thought to create new forms. We put our faith in a creative reality that is recreative. Revelation is continuous." Now, how often do we find that our thoughts, that our very lives have become encrusted? And I find that to be quite an image. I'm picturing our spirits appearing as parched earth, cracked and crusted over, seemingly devoid of life. And yet, given the proper condition, having some kind of transforming rain, new life, new forms, new thoughts emerge. I think that we are in such a time right now. New life is seeking to break through encrusted thought, old thoughts, old structures, old systems, in the process of giving way to new forms, the potential and possibility of really building a beloved community. And as Unitarian Universalists, we believe that revelation is ever present. Some might call it the Spirit of God, the Spirit of life, the universe, but by whatever name you happen to call it, this force is whispering to us each and every day, urging us to wake up to our lives, to pay attention, to consider what we are going to do with our one wild and precious life. So I was thinking that if we're immersed in continuous revelation with everything, it seems that revelation is going to show up in many forms. I had an encounter with prayer flags that invoked in me a sense of unity and oneness. But I want to contrast this with another time and another place in my life. I was living in Northern Maryland. It was a beautiful day. I lived with my family, and to all outward appearances, I had a very good and a happy life. But on this particular day, the lawn needed to be mowed, so I went about this as I often did. My actions were pretty absent-minded. I was doing something I had done many times before. I found random thoughts flitting through my head while I went about my work. But suddenly, I became intensely aware of the specificity of my thoughts. You know, it was like an amplifier had been hooked up, and every random thought that I had was now being broadcast in such a way that I had to pay attention to it. And I was shocked by what I heard. There was a litany of complaints. One thought after another played in an endless loop in my head. One discontented grievance after another about money, my kids, my job, my self-worth. It went on. And there wasn't an uplifting or positive thought in the lot. Even though I was astonished by this peek into my psyche, I did have enough wherewithal to realize that I had received an unexpected gift, another striking disclosure. I didn't like that flood of thought that I became so very aware of, but I did realize that such awareness, as uncomfortable as it was, gave me the opportunity to pay attention to how those thoughts might be manifesting in my life through my words, through my actions toward myself, and actions with others in the world around me. That light bulb moment of revelation allowed me to make a conscious choice to change or not, but the possibility for new and creative forms of being were more solidly within my grasp. UU theologian Rebecca Parker says that revelation comes to those who are radically hospitable to what they don't know. And I'm going to repeat that. I think for me, this was a significant phrase. Revelation comes to those who are radically hospitable to what they don't know. I'm challenged and intrigued by her statement. And I think it might be similar to the idea that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. What her statement does for me, it suggests that those moments of revelation and insight arrive because on some level we are ready to become aware of what we don't know. In our deepest beings, we are hardwired to wake up. And while I think it's obvious to many of us that in this country, we're long overdue for a change regarding how we value life, could it be that this seemingly endless tragedy and chaos that we've experienced over the past several years has finally revealed to us that the status quo isn't working? Could all of these events finally be the tipping point? The events that will serve as a striking disclosure that shakes us collectively out of our stupor, our polarized and encrusted thinking. Every day, every moment holds the potential for awakening. Revelation is continuous. Out of the deepest darkness, out of the most ordinary and extraordinary occurrences, might come that bolt of awareness that illuminates our cloud of vision, making room for real change. Revelation is continuous. Revelation can show up anytime, any place, and maybe you've had this and found this to be true in your life. Maybe you've been engaged in something that you do every day. You might be making dinner, taking out the trash, brushing your teeth. You might be listening to the daily news, and for just a brief moment, something larger, an awareness larger than yourself, taps you on the shoulder. And for that moment, you're able to see your life in a new and different fashion. A striking disclosure urging you to wake up. In a season that has been filled with fear-mongering and political posturing, and more sorrow than what we know what to do with, let us hope that we are ready to catch those moments of revelation when they arrive. Let us be open to the holy voices that speak to us in so many ways every day. May we be open to this present, whether it arrives in a fluttering of wind-caressed prayer flags, in the litany of thoughts that flood our heads when we least expect it, or in the tragic announcement of yet another act of violence. May we be primed to find this presence in the faces of those we see passing on the street. Walt Whitman said, "I hear and behold God in every object, yet understand God not in the least, nor do I understand who there can be more wonderful than myself. Why should I wish to see God better than on this day? I see something of God each hour of the 24, and each moment then, in the faces of all of those I see. In those faces I see God, and in my own face in the glass. I find letters from God dropped in the street, and every one is signed by God's name, and I leave them where they are, for I know that others will punctually come by for them forever and ever." I think we can think about revelation often as something that is mystical or otherworldly, but really revelation, that universal urging to pay attention to our lives, is present everywhere. And I found this following piece. I couldn't find who to attribute it to, but I thought that it captured the idea of the mystical within the ordinary in a really interesting way. So this individual said, "I'm a devout skeptic. I don't believe in ESP or God or a heaven or a zillion other unverifiable things. And yet After returning from an extended trip to Argentina, where people tend to be intensely sociable, I had a powerful vision during waking hours for 6 straight days. As I went through my day, I saw every person literally connected to every other person through umbilical type cords. So if the interaction between these people was positive, a gold and amber liquid flowed between them in the cord. And if it was negative, that fluid looked blackish green. Now, no one else showed any awareness of the cords, which happened to also stretch between people who weren't obviously interacting in the moment. This individual went on to say, the message was clear to me. We are all connected, whether we realize it or not. Now, I didn't tell anyone about this for months because I was concerned they wouldn't believe me. When I finally shared it with a colleague, he had this insightful comment. If you had been a Catholic, you would have seen the Virgin Mary. You, however, are a Unitarian Universalist. So naturally, you saw the interconnected web. All of life is a continual revelation. Everywhere we turn, amidst all of the joys and all of the rapture, the sorrow and the pain, everything whispers in our ear, calling us to wake up, to pay attention, to notice our lives. The challenge extended to you, to me, and to all of us is to decide, what actions will we take? How will we transform revelation into recreation? The question is, what exactly will you do with your one wild and precious life that is so intimately linked with all others? So as we consider that, let us just take a moment to pause and drink in all of that, the ways that we are connected, the ways that revelation arrives all the time. And we'll enter into our closing hymn. It's 112. Do you hear? And again, I'll read the lyric, and afterwards, Carly will play it through. Do you hear? Oh, my friend, in the place where you stand, through the sky, through the land, do you hear? Do you hear? In the heights, on the plain, in the vale, on the main, in the sun, in the rain, do you hear? Do you hear? Through the roar, through the rush, through the throng, through the crush, do you hear in the hush of your soul, of your soul? Hear the cry, fear won't still. Hear the heart's call to will. Hear a sigh's startling trill in your soul, in your soul. From the place where you stand to the outermost strand, do you hear, oh my friend, do you hear? All the dreams, all the dares, all the sighs, all the prayers, they are yours, mine, and theirs. Do you hear? And now, Carly, if you'll play that through once.
Thank you, Carly. And thank you, Cindy, for a very thoughtful sermon. It got me thinking, and maybe I'll have some comments later. Now we're ready to extinguish the chalice. Mary? And I'll read these words from Teresa Tet Gustio Gallardo. I may not be pronouncing that right. As we extinguish this chalice, let us carry its light with us as we remember that truth manifests itself with its own force. Let us ride on the power of revelation with a heart ready to receive, to forgive, and to learn.
May we all go forth in good faith. May we all trust in life. And in the end, may all be revealed. We have a closing song again by my husband, and let's do maybe a little sound check first so we make sure that we're hearing this correctly. So here we go.
If you see Buddha on the road, can you hear that?
Yes,
Should I be even a little closer to the machine?
maybe a little closer would be good.
I'll
But
try. Okay. So this song is called "On Having No Head," and it's sort of a Buddhist treatise on being present to one's life. And I'll just tell you in advance, I'll apologize. Towards the end of the second verse, there's a really very bad pun. Go ahead, step off the edge, step off the ledge into that which you don't know. All will be fine, go ahead, step out of line. It's time to take off your old ragged cloak. Speak carefully and notice your life, how it flows around you like silk. The extinction of all concepts, take this for your wife. Let these drops fall on your lips like milk. If you see Buddha on the road, give him my number, give him my coat. If you see Buddha in the show, tell him that's a nice touch, that hole in my boat. Like those courtesans of Venice, we came here to taste these many fruits. Can't say I know that much about tennis, but I know that love is true. Go ahead, step off the edge, step off the ledge into that which you don't know. All will be fine, go ahead, step out of line. It's time to take off your old ragged cloak. Take off that old ragged cloak. Above your shoulders only smoke. Step so softly, naked in the rain. Above your shoulders, look at those flames. Speak carefully and notice your life, how it flows around you like silk. The extinction of all concepts, take this for your wife. Let these drops fall on your lips like milk.
Thank you, John. It's nice to have live music. Now we are ready for discussion during coffee hour. All are welcome to join. We can unmute and